If the organism is perceiving some type of threat or danger in the environment, the stronger the emotion they feel, the more they're moving into that survival state, it's going to signal those genes because there's better chances of survival if the offspring is in the same environmental conditions. So it's a signaling so that there's some type of evolution to the environmental experiences. And then, if there is consummation and there's an exchange of genetic information, the 23 chromosomes from the sperm, 23 chromosomes from the egg cross-link, and they begin to exchange information for the combination of the greatest expression in the environment that the progenitors are actually living in or perceiving. So there's implantation, and the mother's blood supply is intimately connected to the development of the embryo. And its thoughts and feelings also begin to further select and instruct genes in another way. So there's research that shows that it literally molds the body. So if the parents are in poverty or living in lack or living in fear and living in constant survival or stress, the head circumference of the child is smaller. There's a larger hindbrain and a smaller forebrain. The adrenal glands are larger. The body has been shaped and molded, again, equal to the interaction in the environment, so that there's even further signaling for the greatest expression in that environment. And then, of course, then there's partition, there's birth, and now the environment is a strong signal once again. So now the child's brain is so neuroplastic that it's deeply involved in learning everything in its environment as quickly as possible and to navigate in a new body. So it tends to model and pay attention to behaviors. And there's neurons in the brain called mirror neurons that are actually priming the brain to demonstrate the same behavior. And when a female lioness is teaching her cubs how to hunt, she doesn't say, okay, you go that way, I'm going to go this way. She basically changes the way she does things, and it catches all of their attention. She's no longer mom in that moment. She's now a predator. And they all put all of their attention on her, and they are used to neurologically doing that, so they have the circuitry in place. And all of a sudden, she starts to move in an environment, and the same neurons in their brains are turning on as if they were hunting. She's priming their brain. She's selecting and instructing neurological networks and saying, don't pay attention to what I'm saying. Notice what I'm doing. And mirror neurons are empathy neurons. They emulate behaviors. And so the children in our environment that we're raising in a specific place are being raised by parents with the same genetic propensities, the same automatic programs, the same emotional reactions. And it's literally what is beginning to subconsciously program them through their mirror neurons, and at the same time lay the foundation of their identity and personality. And so we measured cortisol levels, the stress hormone. We measured immunoglobulin A. We wanted to see, if a person's living in survival and stress and their cortisol levels are up, their immune system is suppressed, right? It dials down. But if we could teach them how to create an elevated emotion like gratitude, and that they were safe enough to open their hearts, could they begin to down-regulate the gene for cortisol production and up-regulate the gene for a stronger immune system, equipped to deal with greater environmental challenges, so that we're immune to the conditions in our lives. And cortisol levels dropped 16.25%, and IgA levels went up 49.5% in the collective. The worst thing that could happen to us if we get grateful and move out of survival is that we'll begin to heal. People do the best with what they think is available. And if you have the limited understanding that there's only one solution to a condition or problem, then more than likely you've closed your mind to other possibilities. I think the number one thing we have to do is educate ourselves about the truth, about how powerful and strong our immune system is, and we have to trust our innate intuition that we can adapt and that we can heal. And there's a delicate balance between intention and surrender. And if you have the intention but you're in lack or separation, we try harder. And that's not the solution. And we could surrender, but if we don't have a clear intention, we become lazy and lethargic. And we don't really do anything to set our mind in the right direction. But when you begin to marry those and you walk that razor's edge and you teach people how to trust in health, trust in well-being, trust in the body's innate capacity to heal, to believe that your body's immune system has a memory. And then number two, teach your children the truth. Tell them germs do not create disease. Tell them the majority of the bacteria in their bodies are alive. And they're called opportunistic bacteria because they're waiting for an opportunity for you to get out of balance, for you to go back into survival and stress and suppress your immune system. If you were to change the way you thought and the way you felt, that truly you taught them how to do that, then they would have the natural capacity in the belief that their immune system has a memory. It's a rudimentary nervous system. It has a memory. It memorizes invaders. And when it's coherent and in balance and we are feeling safe and we're feeling present, it gets stronger. And I think that if we teach our children the truth about it, they'll begin to rely less on anything outside of them to change how they feel inside of them. And I think they'll be less seduced into a pharmaceutical model that has its benefits in the short term, but with chronic health conditions that require a lifestyle change. It means that we're going to have to actually do something and to participate in our own healing and in our own health. So I think learning and experimenting and being able to not only understand it, but be able to express it and to say it in a coherent and clear way, I think it makes us better equipped to then defend our new belief. And that gives people permission to do the same. And by teaching our children the way it is, I think it helps change the future. And I've never immunized my kids. I never would. And I went through that period talking to educators, talking to administrators about all of it. And I think, it's information is getting out there. We can't face these problems in fear because it's going to weaken us. We have to face them in courage. And we can't do what's been done. We got to do it differently. So, nice fast track to enlightenment is be the very thing you want your children to be, because you can't say to your child, stop being such an emotional basket case, because they're witnessing you. They're paying attention to who you're being. And our mirror neurons, kind of modeling neurons that emulate behaviors, I think are always active in most human beings. And I think that's what kind of creates this mass consciousness, maybe even mass limitation or mass unconsciousness in the way that we believe we're so limited. And our research shows that 10 minutes of gratitude a day, 3 times a day for 3 days, strengthens the immune system by 50%, that we begin to produce a chemical called IgA, immunoglobulin A, your body's primary defense against bacteria and virus. It's the body's natural flu shot. In fact, it's better than any flu shot.